All right, welcome back to Here's Why by Why Not Results. Today we're going to continue on with our season of Lifecycle Marketing. I'm Mario Lizarraga, this is
Jimmy Talbert.
And we are here to educate you from all types of angles pertaining from me, the more business-minded individual, and Jimmy, who is more of the
marketing-minded individual, I guess.
And we are a very nice complement to one another because we kind of think very similarly, but yet differently at the same time. Our training and our background, even though we kind of have the same long-term goals, we kind of look at things a little bit differently. And me, the business owner mindset, I really don't understand marketing. I don't understand the difference between marketing and sales, and it's been a very big uphill journey for me. And I've been fortunate to get surrounded by some brilliant marketing minds. This gentleman on my right being one of them. So please, what are we going to be talking about and learning from you today, sir?
So today we're going to be talking specifically about how to capture leads. And so any business, it's absolutely critical that you capture leads. But before we get into that, I want to go ahead and do a quick overview of lifecycle marketing in general, which is what this season is about. And I want to kind of break all that down. So let's go ahead and jump over to a quick overview of lifecycle marketing in general, and then we'll dive into capturing leads and specific strategies that you can use in order to start bringing a lot more leads, attracting a lot more leads to your business. So before we go through the different stages of lifecycle marketing, what I'd like to do is make sure that you're thinking about two separate things. I want you to remember that your prospects are people. So I don't care if you call your customers, clients, patients, students, whatever. I don't care if you sell B2B or B2C. At the end of the day, you sell person to person. And it's important to create a narrative, create a story, create a brand that people can relate to, people can associate with. The other thing that I want you to remember is that systems scale relationships and processes scale relationships. So having those systems, having those processes within your business is absolutely critical to your overall success. So let's quickly go through the different stages of lifecycle marketing. So it starts with getting traffic to your business. So this is to your blog, getting traffic to your website, also gaining traction on social media, getting people to engage and interact with you throughout these different platforms and across these different mediums where people may look. Okay, the next stage is converting leads. And so when we look at that, this is getting people to give you some information. In most cases, giving information is in exchange for something of value, and we'll dig in deep on that when we go through the lead, the converting leads video on this series as well. And then the next is the nurturing your prospects, which is your sales process. Whether we're talking about your initial sales process of trying to convert your leads into clients, or your long-term nurture or short-term nurture, things like that. The next stage is converting the clients. This is where the sale happens. Making sure that that's a smooth and seamless process so that you don't run into those hiccups so low in the funnel when it ends up costing you a lot of money. Next stage is delivering and wowing, making sure that every client, every customer that you work with has a fantastic experience, wants to be an advocate of your business. If they ever have a conversation with someone about your product or your service, making sure that you're the one that they recommend. And then the next stage here is upsell and cross-sell, which is giving you the ability to actually increase that lifetime customer value of everybody that you work with. And then the last stage is getting referrals and reviews. And I don't even have to tell you how important that is in today's day and age. In the social and digital age, that is absolutely critical to the overall success of your business.
Wow, another entertaining overview from Mr. Talbert's.
Well, today we're going to be talking, like we said before, about converting leads. Converting leads is absolutely critical. Lead generation is critical to any business. And the way that you convert leads, you can do it a number of different ways. The best way is to attract them to your business. So Mario, you've had several businesses over the years, and talk about different ways that you've gotten leads, that you've attracted leads, or maybe not attracted them, and the results you saw.
Well, I mean, starting back with the catering business, or the restaurant business, that was a different situation when I try to compete for a catering job. Right, so in my situation, I'd have a large catering job opportunity. A prison, in one instance, would actually put out to bid a few different type of job opportunity, RFPs, I believe they called it. And through that process, through that lead, which was a referral-based lead, then I had to work the conversion process, submit my bid. The fact that I was even referred and recommended on that preferred vendor list is one thing in itself. That took a lot of action. But then after we got to that point of actually bidding and who's gonna cash flow it, these certain little things were part of that conversion process, right, for me in that business. Now, on the insurance side, I would actually buy leads. When I first got into the health insurance business and life insurance business, I would actually buy leads before I had a big enough network to get my referral business coming in.
That's what a lot of businesses do to get started.
Yeah. And that's what I did. I was no different. So I would get a lot of leads, and I'd hear a lot of fellow agents around me complaining how terrible these leads were. These are terrible. Because we'd call them. Hey, we didn't want any information on health insurance, and really We've
all gotten those calls.
Yep. And these people were upset because they'd been called by 25 different agents. I had no idea about that. But either way, it was still part of that conversion process. And that's where it all started. So the lead purchasing was terrible. And I hope to never have to do that again in my life.
Sure.
But those are just a couple ways that I bought leads.
Okay, so as far as, there's really two different ways that you can generate leads. One is by buying or paying for leads, right? I guess there's three different ways. You buy and pay for leads just outright. The other way is you can pay for the exposure to get in front of someone. And then the other, though, is you can attract in the specific kinds of leads through your organic channels. And the third is the one that we all aspire to. Why? Because there's a long tail effect to it, for one. You're not paying by the lead or by the what do they call it? The exposure, by the view.
I don't know, by the lead, I would call it. You're talking about for Facebook. Yeah.
Impressions.
Impressions, right. Yeah. Pay by impression, correct.
I'm not sure why I forgot that.
Okay. Because there's so much to remember, that's why.
I just couldn't think of the word. But yeah, you pay by the impression. The other is that you attract in the right kinds, and that comes with having a consistent messaging format for your messaging, where you're appealing to your ideal client. You're attracting in the right kind of traffic first of all, and then that right kind of traffic is going to convert to leads at a higher level. Does that make sense?
Yes, unfortunately, walk that path, yes.
You've been down that path before. So what we're going to go through is a few different things. Now, what I want to start with is sort of we call it Brainstormer, right? Which is a brainstormer of different ways to attract leads. And so I'm going to come over here to the monitor here, and I'm going to highlight something. So this is our Brainstormer. Now, if you'd like this specifically, you can actually download this directly from the link in the description here. And so let's just cover some of these different things of how to create an effective lead magnet. Now, what an effective lead magnet consists of is it consists of something that is of a high value to your target audience with a low barrier of entry. So when we're talking about that, at the top here, what are some common mistakes that you help people avoid, right? And like we talked about before, when we're going through and dialing in on who your ideal client is, we talk about things that you help people achieve, things that you help people avoid, and then here's some just ideas of different ways that you can create a lead magnet out of a concept. In most cases, I've found that businesses actually have a lot of this, they have the knowledge to create something like this. It's a matter of putting it together and putting it in a format that people will actually absorb. So after we go through the different things that you can brainstorm for lead magnet ideas, Then I'm going to take you through sort of the content distribution machine and take you through how that works in creating these lead magnets and follow-ups thereafter. So let's go ahead and kind of break some of that down, but let's first talk about some of these different aspects of things that would inspire people or engage people to give you some information.
Okay.
So another thing is, what frustrations do your leads have prior to getting your service, your product or service that you specifically offer? So for your businesses, talk to me a little bit about that.
In what context again, if you don't mind?
So it sounds like I presented that really well then.
Yeah, I tuned out a little bit. I apologize, but
all right. So what we're talking about is when creating a lead magnet. One of the ways that you can do that is, like I said over here, what frustrations do people have when they buy from your competitors, or what frustrations are they looking to solve for before they come to you, right? So then there's some different ideas on our brainstormer here of ways that you can create lead magnets out of those specific frustrations.
Oh, I see. Well, okay. So you're asking me what frustrations would my clients have before they saw me? So
Tell me about experience you have with this.
So are you talking in the insurance space? From not getting called back, from being lied to, right? From being over, maybe just not liking a carrier that somebody is with.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they just find out, maybe they had a claims issue, and I can go on and on. There's a lot of frustrations and things, and if I stop and think about it, that I have pain points with that client that I could address.
Okay. So if it was 3 things to avoid before purchasing life insurance, before investing in a annuity, or before, whatever that is, right?
Correct.
That's what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, fantastic. And so, like I said, this brainstormer is available in the description below. Fill out the form. We'll send it right to you. It's going to be really easy for you, and you can swipe this from us right here and now. So when we're talking about specifically online lead generation, right? A lot of people, and I've heard this over the years. Like I said, I've been consulting small businesses for over 10 years now. And so small businesses and entrepreneurs. And what a lot of businesses say is, well, I've got the form on my website for my newsletter, right? I want you to think about, when was the last time you woke up in the morning and thought, I'm going to subscribe to a newsletter today?
Oh, I love that. I've got like 200 of them coming in my inbox every day.
The answer is no one said that since 2001 or 2.
Maybe 1992.
Maybe even longer than that.
No
one says that.
When the internet originated.
No one is subscribing to a newsletter. And so with that, right, what do you need to do? Well, you need to create something that's a high potential, or has a perceived value, a high perceived value with your ideal client, and something that is a low barrier of entry, right? You don't ask them for the sale right away, right? We're not asking them to marry us the first time we see them at a bar. We ask them what their name is first. We talk to them a little bit, and then ask for their number, and then take them on some dates, right? You don't go straight in for the kill right away, and that's what so many businesses are doing, and that's why a lot of what they get online is either garbage, or it's not. They're not getting the results they're looking for.
And let's be honest here, Jimmy. I mean, we all love the hot sale, right? That hot lead, that person who's coming in, I need it now concept. If we could just get filled with nothing but that, we all love those deals. They make us feel so good, like we're so smart and cool. And when it comes down to it, we just got lucky in many times. We found somebody in the right place, the right time, and they talked to their friend who happened to know us, and they referred, you got to go talk to that guy. But in all reality, if they have any kind of time frame, you're absolutely right. There's a courtship.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of a client that I worked with years ago, and they had a vending machine business that specifically sold healthy food through their vending machines, and they typically put these vending machines in gyms, in different fitness places. Some office buildings that were trying to encourage healthy lifestyles would include them as well. But before these guys started out, they were literally just kind of pure hunters, right? They're young, hungry. I love the guys because they're born salespeople, right? They're cold calling like crazy, calling hundreds of people per day. Eventually, they hired a couple of college kids to just dial and set them appointments and stuff like that, right? Once they put in a strategic lead magnet, so it was the lead magnet was 5 shocking ways your club is losing money right now, or something like that, right? Because they were trying to appeal to their ideal client. And so in doing that, they put that out, and they started putting out content that was surrounding this and always directing people back to this lead magnet, right? Mm-hmm. And as they did that, they started pulling in more people organically, and those leads converted 10 times, literally 10 times better than the appointments that their college kids were setting for them as their college kids were calling out. Eventually, they stopped employing the college kids because they were getting so much more, and they were able to operate like they had this big marketing department, but really they were just doing things, and they'd segment out a portion of their time to focus on marketing, right? And the rest of the time they were still selling, but now they were selling based on appointments of people who fit that ideal client profile. And again, that ideal client profile is so critical. What I'd encourage you to do is if you go to the description, there is a link there where you can request a free consultation where I will get on the phone with you and take you through a exercise that I take all my clients through. I've done it thousands of times, where we go through and dial in exactly who your ideal client is and talk specifically about the language and communication that will make them move. And Mario, I've done this with you before. What kind of impact did you feel like that had with your business? Because if you don't know, okay, before Mario and I were business partners, he was a client of mine with his insurance business, and I was doing some marketing stuff with him.
Specifically conversion copy.
That's
specifically.
Right. Yeah. Later on, I worked with Mario to create some videos in the studio that we're in right now, because I knew what he had. So then I became his client, and now we're business partners with Why Not Results. We've launched this, and it's absolutely incredible. So just to give you a little bit of background if you're not familiar with us yet, but talk to me a little bit about when I first took you through what I call the assessment. What light bulbs turned on? What did that? I guess what impact did that have on how you thought about things?
Biggest thing, without spending too much time on it, is it just brought clarity to me. And when for what my ideal client was trying to avoid, and what they were, and the successes they were looking for, but really more importantly, what they were trying to avoid. And what really came out of that is how I was completely focusing on catering to not what they wanted to avoid. The problems, the frustrations that they were running into. And so because of that, they were, all my marketing was kind of falling flat for the most part, because as you've pointed out, in what you were just talking about, we really want to focus on the pain points for people. They purchase based off of pain, unfortunately.
And how your specific company, your specific brand appeals to people who fit within that ideal client. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you're the only person who sells insurance in Phoenix.
No, there is 2 others.
Phoenix is the 5th largest city in the United States.
Right.
So I don't think you're the only one,
no,
right?
There are definitely 2, maybe 3. I'm talking 1,000. I mean, tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands, yeah.
There's definitely a lot of guys out there, men and women that are just crushing it, and I'm trying to compete with those guys. So I've got to separate myself.
That's right. Differentiate yourself. Differentiate your brand. And we talked about becoming uncomfortably narrow on who you actually target, who your ideal client is. Now, does that mean that someone who doesn't fit into that perfect client won't come to you and say, "Hey, this makes sense for me too"? And I've got a story about that as well. So, had a client.
You have a story?
I know, it's hard to believe. Yeah, a client Rockwell Consulting, and I typically worked with attorneys, right? Mm-hmm. And so originally they were saying, in their marketing, now even though like 90% of their clients were attorneys, right? In their marketing, they were saying they were use the terms like professional services a lot and stuff like that, right? We tweaked that to actually appeal to law firms and attorneys, right? And go at that hard, right? But still deliver the same messaging that they were. And what that did was they were still getting this, they were getting more attorneys and law firms, but then they were also getting people who were maybe accountants. And they said, hey, I have a lot of the same issues that you address as like an attorney. I know I'm not an attorney now. Do you work with people who are not attorneys? And of course they say, well, yeah, of course we do, right? Yeah, we work with a lot of different businesses, and we've got a lot of different, we just specifically target that because that's our, that's our niche. And because it attracts in the right kind of clients. And when you narrow who you're going after, what you're really doing is you're casting a much wider net than you realize. When you try to be too vague, then your brand is trying to be everything to everybody. And it's kind of like the friend that's trying to be everything to everybody, right? When someone's a friend to everyone and trying to be everything to everybody, they're truly a friend to no one. And it's the same way with your business. When you're trying to be everything to everybody, you're not providing anything unique to anyone. When you have a very targeted and specific brand with specific expectations, then people will start fitting their expectations into what your brand presents. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So when we're developing a lead magnet, again, high perceived value, right? Uncomfortably narrow on who you're going after, right? And it's about having that message be consistent with what you're doing at the top of the funnel. Now, if you need ideas for how to build a top of funnel, right? Go through and watch video number 2 in this season about getting more traffic. And that will enlighten you a little bit as well. Additionally, if you want to get the Brainstormer, then go ahead and click, there's a link there for that. If you want to get a consultation with me where we'll go through, break down your ideal client, we'll go through and dial in exactly what's going to make them move, what kind of content is going to drive some results. Go through, request that. Again, there's a link in there for that, and I'll be happy to break things down with you. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like this video, regardless of what platform you're watching it on. And we appreciate you being part of, and if you're listening to it, yeah, subscribe to the podcast as well. We appreciate you being part of the community here. And we're here to help businesses and entrepreneurs grow. And with that, I'll go ahead and sign off. Any last words, Mario?
I think you've said it all.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
See you soon.